Hello, and welcome to an all-new episode of Black Empowerment 365. I am one of your hosts, Kente, all the way live from Los Angeles, California, and I'm joined by the wonderful, the beautiful, the talented Kiana Rodriguez. How you doing, Kiana?
I am wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. And, for those who may not know about Miss Kiana, I know, right? The few people that may not know, one thing that she's famous for is that she helps people who are having a tough time in their workplace by providing them with ways to have a more happier work week. And one thing that she has been doing over the last couple of weeks is she needs you three jobs ago. That's funny. She has the Happy Work Week Challenge. And how's that going?
It is amazing. I have to say that it's amazing. And if you guys really want to participate and get started, you're welcome to join. Facebook group is facebook.com/group/Happy Work Week. Yes. And the very first challenge, if you want to get started, is to pick your favorite plant and research it. And then you have to come talk to me if you want to know why.
Okay. All right. And so this smile that you have is not just for this show. You carry that smile on virtually all week long, right?
I do. I didn't know. This is weird. I didn't know that you always shock me. Yeah. Yes. I'm so serious. I'm a very happy person, and I want to share my happiness in the workplace and in the home. And so I really feel that so many people are miserable, and we have to change that, and we have to change it starting with us. So right now I'm really focusing on individuals and helping individuals get happy. So when they go into the workplace, it won't affect them, because man.
You know what's so weird though is people are sometimes curious of people who are happy all the time. It's like, why are they so happy? Are they on some kind of drugs? Are they, what's going on there? But that's just who you are, right?
It is. I mean, but it was a process, because it's a process. So I mean, this is just me, and I enjoy life. You got to enjoy life every single moment. And I'm really excited about experiencing this moment and this talk with our guest. I am so glad that Ricardo has, in short notice, an hour notice, allowed. Superman has landed, and he has come to join us tonight. So yes, I'm so excited about this conversation, and I don't think we could have picked a better individual to speak about this topic. So yes, yes. So thank you. So I really, I'm so honored to have you here, Ricardo. Thank you.
The pleasure is mine, man. I love Blab. I love what you guys do, and it's a pleasure to be able to support in any way I can. So let's make it for some people. Let's do this.
Now, in the tradition of our show, we always love to start from the beginning. We want to give people the origin story of our guests. So tell us, where were you from? Where were you born? Where were you from originally?
I was born in Guyana, South America. I grew up in Trinidad in the Caribbean, and came to Canada in 1986.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Lived all across Southern Ontario, and now I'm in Toronto, even Detroit, Michigan for a bit, back to Windsor, and now Toronto.
Okay, so you've been all over the place.
I move. I keep it moving, man. I even like keep it up, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. Next. I've moved a lot, well over 50, 60 times in my lifetime.
Wow.
So, by the time I was about 25, on average, every 6 months since I was born, I lived in a new house. So I'm very comfortable with change.
I hate moving. I hate changing. I mean, I hate all of that stuff. I like to find a nice place and then just stay there. I don't like too much change. I like, yeah, not that kind of change, but you know, but I think that's cool though that you have this background, so you've seen a lot of different things, so you have a lot of stories, I'm sure. Where'd you go to high school at?
In all of those places, as moving, I went to high school in Trinidad, a place called Woodbrook Secondary High School. I went to high school in Canada, in Oshawa, at O'Neill Collegiate, and also Paul Dwyer High School.
Okay.
Those are the 3 high schools I attended in my moves.
Tell me about high school, Ricardo. What kind of kid were you like?
What kind of kid was I at school?
Yeah, in high school.
Painfully shy.
Oh.
Like, I'm that kid that sat in the corner and didn't talk to anyone, and like doing drawings or art, and people thought I was weird until they spoke to me and then they liked me. I got really bad grades sometimes in classes I didn't like D's and F's. And if I loved the class, I got A's and A pluses. So I got the full breadth. I got A, B, C's, and D's, you know, and at all times. I didn't leave anything out.
Oh my gosh.
Did you?
I got everything.
Oh, LaShonda wants to know, do you think it was due to the moving or adjustments?
No.
Can't blame it on that.
It was just laziness. It was just I was not interested or in my head about a lot of things and really overthinking everything before I took action. And that just drove me right into the ground. Sometimes I rose to the challenge. I was in class in architectural drawing and I got the highest grade ever in the history of the class because the guy who was leading it, the teacher, would say, oh, this is the best student I've ever had. And I would look at his work and I'm like, well, that work's not that good. He goes, Ricardo, because you're failing my class. How can you sit here and tell me that my best student ever? I'm like, I can beat that guy. And he's like, yeah, whatever, Ricardo. And I'm like, oh, you don't think I could do that? I said, okay. And I just like locked in and just started going nuts. And I beat the guy. I'm like, the guy who had a 95 or 96 average. And I finished the year with, I will say, 100% average and got the highest grade on the final exam in the history of the school. I went into the exam and gave you a booklet. You have 2 hours to finish 3 of 5 drawings, mechanical, architectural, elevation, and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't even read the instructions. I just opened the book and I started drawing. And I did all 5 and left early. And somebody was like, which ones did you do? I'm like, which ones? I'm like, I did the whole thing. They were like, what do you mean? I'm like, I did 5. They're like, why'd you do 5? You're supposed to do 3. I'm like, I hope that doesn't count against me. It worked out. I got the highest grade possible.
Oh my God. So you like challenges.
I love challenges. I love challenges. Challenges are the thing is like, once I lock in on something, I'm like, there's just let go.
Now, you know, a lot of us, when we're in high school, we're trying to figure out who we are and what we want to do with the rest of our lives. Did you know what you wanted to do when you were in high school, or were you one of those kids who were searching?
I was one of those kids that was trying to eat in high school. I left home at 17 and, you know, abusive situation, didn't want to be there. So I was like, yo, I'm out. And so I was trying to find food. I was like living above a crackhead at one point, drug dealers. I was, you know, going to school, had to keep all my food in my room because they would just get high and eat my food. So I was just going to school because I had to go to school and just keep my focus. Yeah, that's how I went through high school.
Wow. Do you think
how did those moments in that time in your life shape who you are now?
It's interesting that you guys are even asking me this. It's sort of weird. I always had a very high opinion of myself. Some people would say I'm cocky. Some people would say whatever. I'm like, I just knew I was destined for greatness. I still think that. I still think they're going to write a book about my life. I still, like, I think of my life in chapters, and as I'm going through any hard time, I'm like, how's this chapter going to end? How's the high school chapter going to end? How's the, you know, unemployment chapter going to end? I'm like, it's not going to end with me getting my ass beat or like losing to this drug dealer downstairs. I'm like, nah, dude, that's not a good ending. So I'm always writing the ending of the chapter to the point where I win. So that's how I approach situations. Even every tough situation to this day, I'm always looking at it. I'm like, yeah, it's not over. If I can breathe, if I got food in the fridge, dude, I lived above a crackhead. There's nothing you could tell me. I'm like, it's not over till I get what I need. So it really sharpened my focus and really forced me, trained me in that practice of like going after what I wanted to get. So
do you
never thought about it that way, but thank you for asking.
Do you even today, right? Do you ever think about those days? Is that something you try to block out, or do you use that as some sort of motivation to achieve now?
Never block it out. That's my life, man. I can't undo that, and I wouldn't want it any other way. If I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't be who and what I am today. Yeah, that's my life. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it because I'm here. I'm proud of it because I've accomplished great things in spite of that. Like I look back, I was looking back at my life the other day and I was just like, holy fuck. I'm like, I was close to the edge. You know what I mean? Like when I just say what it was and I listed certain things, I was like, yo, man, I was in actual danger at many, many times in my life, very close to either going left, going right. I mean, and I just sort of hit that sweet spot and just went right through things. So I'm grateful, and I would not change an ounce of it. All of it has shaped me, and I love who I am. So
how did you make that transition from that point on? How, you know, what happened afterwards?
After high school?
Well, after you said you were living there, like how did you transition out of that position?
I just packed up and moved. Just like, I'm not going to live here anymore. I'm not going to live here. So I just picked up my stuff and, you know, I was moved to a different neighborhood because the influences and that circumstance really made it difficult for me to relax my mind. And I knew that if my mind was relaxed and I could think, I could solve the problem. So I moved to a different area of town. I just packed up and put everything I had in a couple garbage bags and see ya. Like I mean, just because I've moved so much, I understand that moving is very, very normal to me. So it's not like, oh my God, I'm gonna leave my friends. I'm like, yeah, I'll make new friends. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, I'm going. What people say, I'm like, just whatever. It's like, I'm not living here anymore. I'm out.
You know,
and I moved to the other side of town and had a longer commute in the snow to get to school, but my mind was free. So that was more important to me.
You know, what I've learned is that, you know, not everybody's meant to be in your life forever. You know, like some people, they're just one chapter in your book. So, you know, they were meant to be with you just for, you know, a year or less or more. So, you know, and you have to accept that, you know, and sometimes it's painful, you know, especially when you care for someone. But, you know, sometimes you got to move on. And it seems like you've mastered that, you know, because that's been such a major part of your life. But now you are in Canada. So I'm going to assume you're going to be in Canada for quite a while. I'm a guess that that's the deal with you.
Maybe not. I mean, I've talked about moving to the US, maybe moving to Europe or moving back to Trinidad, moving to different places, move to, like, it's a small planet. Like, you can move anywhere. As long as I have internet, I can do my job. I can create. I can make things happen. I'm very resourceful, so I don't limit myself to say this is where I'm going to live. I like this now, but you know me, I'll put my stuff in a garbage bag and I'm out. You know, I'm like, let's go, let's go. I'm like,
hilarious.
I might be the weird one. I might be just that guy who's just willing to pick up and bounce, but
No,
I have
you're not.
friends and people that I've known all around the world, from Germany to South Africa to, like, people are friendly. Everywhere you go, people are great. Just, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
What's up? So I never really have. I've sort of built that strength over there, being able to make friends, meet people, connect, find out what's going on. We'd go traveling sometimes, and it would be, I don't want to stay in the resort. I'm like, fuck that. I want to do an Airbnb, and hey, where are you going tonight? Like, I'm coming, you know, like, let's go find out what the locals are doing and end up on the top of a hill on a street party and have some fun and meet some people and drink the local cerveza, whatever the thing is, and just meet good people. Good people are everywhere. Assholes are everywhere. Everywhere. Like, I've met rich people, poor people. Most people are good. I mean, east side of Detroit, like, in a crazy place, burnt out building. I've met great people there.
Right.
And I've met idiots in, you know, on yachts with drinking champagne, and are just private cottages, and they're just, what's wrong with you? Like,
Rashim, yeah.
Go ahead, read.
Oh yes, yeah. Rashim has a pretty great question. She said, "What steps do you take to build community in a situation where you move frequently?"
Oh, well, y'all digging into my life now. All right, I didn't know it was gonna be like this today.
Superman, come on, this is the kryptonite. Come on.
With a bowl of cherries, I'm thinking it's gonna be. I didn't know we were gonna get into it. All right. So how do I stay connected with people? Technology. I'm avid at connecting with people on LinkedIn, saving email addresses. I've been doing that since high school. Phone numbers was the way we did it back in the day, pagers, and what's your number? You'd call and get a phone card, and you'd call people. Now it's much easier with things like Facebook or LinkedIn. Every single person I meet on LinkedIn, I'm putting them into adding them to LinkedIn, because sooner or later you're going to get on to a professional network, and ta-da, you're connected, and then off we go again. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's technology today. So phone, text, LinkedIn, FaceTime, Blab, Skype, all of it. I'm just software, applications, contactually, all these different things I use to stay connected to people all over.
Yeah. You know, it's so really interesting too that you stay connected using social media and such, and to a certain degree, I think we all do. But then there's a kind of detachment with social media as well, and like, I'll be actually in a physical location with people, and it seems like they're not dealing with the people that are around them. They're dealing with somebody that is, you know, somewhere else on some kind of platform or something like that. And I always feel like it's kind of strange, you know. I mean, I can understand if you're in the DMV, you don't know anybody, so, you know, but I mean, like, it'll be like a family reunion or a party, and
it's a funeral. We're sitting there, I'm like, like, what are you doing?
You know,
there's a time to connect, and there's a time to connect with people while you're there. I find that very rude myself. I do my best to be aware of that and not do it when I'm with people. I've turned off every alert on my phone. It doesn't beep, it doesn't chirp unless there's one application that does that, and it's either with clients or my family. Right. And by family, I mean my wife and son. Right. Not even extended family has that. Right. Yeah, so it's all those alerts and those different. Ding! Like, if I turn this thing on, it'll just be blowing up with alerts and beeps and chirps, and it's just like, that's not actually living. That's just responding to everybody else's brain farts.
Right.
So I jump in when I want to jump in when it's convenient to me, and I connect with people and leave messages, but people know that it's a minimum 24 to 48 hours for me to respond to you if you send me a message on the platform. Minimum. Like even a text message, I'm like, dude, I didn't get it. I didn't look at my text. Because in the efforts to be efficient as a business owner, self-employed over 12, 15 years now, I aggressively look at how I spend my time, because that is the one resource you cannot get back, and you have to spend it. I don't care if you got no money, you spending time. Like everybody spends time, and it's 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Nobody's making more. Everybody's got the exact same amount. So you start your day with that. So it's like, how do you spend that? And I've tracked using different apps. How do I use my computer during the day? Because I'm usually in front of my laptop. And when I see how much time I'm spending on Facebook or on social media or on this, it's 30% of my day just responding to people's ideas and thoughts. Now, I'm not working on my client projects, or I'm not looking for new business, and that's where I actually get money. So I always like to take things and then multiply them out for 12 years to see what the actual cost is to my life. And I say, if 30% of my day is spent responding on social media, which is 2 to 3 hours, which is, 9 to 12, it might be the first half of the morning you're doing stuff, but you multiply that times 5, it's 35 hours a week. It's roughly, somebody help me with the math. And then you're looking at, do that times a month. That's a part-time job. That's a full-time job in terms of those hours. Then you multiply that out for a year. And then you're like, what could I do with an extra 3 months a year if I wasn't replying to that? And when you start to add up those numbers and you start to say, oh, shit, I'm spending 3 months a year responding to Facebook? Yeah, I'm off. I'm out. Like, I don't have a television. I don't have a radio. So all of those things distract and pull me away from what I'm focused on and what it is that I want to do. So I really aggressively shave those things away. And when I'm at dinner or I'm out with somebody, I do my best to stay locked and loaded with whoever is engaged with me right now.
Stay in the moment. Uh-oh.
Oh, look at this. Uh-oh.
Right?
Wife.
Quiet calling me. Should I take it? I'll take it.
Go ahead. All right. So let's see. Rashim is asking, we are all members of multiple communities with varied interests.
What's up, Kristen?
Ricardo, do you find yourself engaging more on some communities than others? And if so, what is that attracts you to communities wherein you do the most engagement? All right. So how about we'll answer that. We'll answer that, and then we'll let Ricardo answer it. You're a member of multiple communities, right, Kiana? So I am as well. For me, what gets me to be engaged with the community, because there's some communities that I take front and center, where I'm an active community member.
I'm glad that's cool. That's money. That's money, baby. That's money.
Right. As long as it's money calling, I'm just saying.
I'm like,
no, if it was Cousin Ray calling you, we would have a problem.
Right.
No. I'm telling you, it's like that was a beautiful example of like, yeah, is this guy actually talking? Like, I'm like, let's see what happens.
I'm teasing you.
Clarifying.
Go ahead.
Rashim asked a great question. She says that since we're members of multiple communities, she says with different interests, do you find yourself engaged in some communities more than others? And if you do, what attracts you to the communities where you do the most engagement?
Of course, Rashim, with a very simple 3-part question. Yeah, I am sort of, what is the word they use now? Multi-passionate? Yeah, different things. I mean, everything from art, design, dance, music, web design, community activism, Black Lives Matter. Like, I'm a whole human being. T-shirt parties. I have tried pulling communities together. It tends to be difficult for them, not for me. Because when I look at, let's say, Malcolm Gladwell, as he talks about who people are in society, they're group hoppers, and I'm a group hopper. You drop me anywhere, I'm like, hey, what's up? 65 old white guys, in 10 minutes we're drinking beers, having fun. Black Lives Matter, I'm protesting on the streets. In a tech conference, I'll be tweeting. Like, I get in where I fit in, and this is because I've just moved so much. I've just learned to navigate the room and see things other people don't see and be able to fit in that pocket and connect with people really, really quickly. So I naturally have many, many groups of friends in all different types of areas. And I try to bring them together. And what I've realized is that you can't just bring people together where they're just bringing themselves. They have to do something to let go of themselves in order to be together and meet other people. Because most people stay in a silo. So if I have some white friends, they're like, you look at their Facebook and you scroll, all their friends are white, and I'm the only black guy. You have some black people, and then like all their friends are black, or all their friends are from Scarborough, all their friends are from New York. So people tend to have these pockets, and because I jump in all these different pockets, when I bring people together, every year I used to do a t-shirt party. And I would tell people, you can come, but you got to wear a t-shirt. And the t-shirt has to say something on it. So you have to go get a t-shirt made to come to the party. The party is free. It's going to be food and drink. So people are like, what do you put on the shirt? I'm like, the shirt has to say something. It can't be like a Nike swoosh. It's got to be like, you look better on Facebook. I'm going somewhere better later. I'm with stupid. Like, I don't care what it says. I'm like, make a t-shirt. If you go on my Facebook and dig back a few years, you'll see some of these t-shirt parties. And like, everybody's in a t-shirt. And everything says something. So people are reading everybody else's shirt. There are people in there that were literally unemployed for years, and there were people in there who were doctors and engineers. But nobody knew that because everybody's in a t-shirt. All the women are in t-shirts, all the men are in t-shirts. So nobody's trying to look too cute. Everybody's got their little, anybody who came in doing that felt real stupid and left after about 10 minutes. They go, everybody here is in a t-shirt. Be like, yeah, like let's just meet each other. And I'm talking 120 people in my house. And I live in like a 1-bedroom apartment. Like, it's packed, like shoulder to shoulder. People are driving by in a car saying, is there a club in here? I'm like, no, dude, it's my house. Like, what are you talking about? People are crashing the party year after year, planning and plotting on Facebook to see where it is. Because the experience of being together like that was one where people made connections, relationships got formed, people hooked up, people connected years later, like 5-6 years became best friends because of that circumstance. And I realized it's because we took away all of the things that normally identify. Where do you work? What do you do? Everybody went up to anyone else and say, what's on your t-shirt? Someone said they made a t-shirt with my picture on it, because I would have prizes for the best t-shirt, for the most creative, for the one like, I'm like, the best homemade t-shirt. I'm like, get a Sharpie and write on the shirt. I'm like, I don't care, but you got to come in a t-shirt. Everybody got a white t-shirt. So this girl came once, she had a Sharpie. She said, I ruined a perfectly good shirt for your party, Rico. I'm like, you get a prize. You get a prize. So it really brought people together in a whole different way. And it was a lot of fun. And people have always been like, at least a year in advance, like, when's your party? When can I come? I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore. They're just like, no. Like, to this day, I still have people stopping me going, when's the next party? I'm like, those are done. I'm like, I'm a daddy now. So
now, you know, Ricardo, you can't have a t-shirt party unless you have a wet t-shirt component to it. So
look, if you want to come in a wet t-shirt, Kente, you are more than welcome to do that.
The ladies.
You may not get a prize. You know, that is all up to you.
Nobody want to see the guys doing that. So also joining the show, we have the one and only Ryan Perez. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Now, before you came in, Ricardo was in the hot seat, and we went deep into his background, you know, to set up, you know, who he is as a person. Being that, you know, you just were able to come in, we're going to not go as deep, so you escaped this time. But we do want to know, where are you from originally? Where were you born?
I was born in Canada. My parents are from Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, Trinity to the bone. But yeah, so yeah, I grew up in Calgary, Alberta, which is a now not so hick, but it's a hick town, and it's well, honestly, that's where I was born, so you can't hold it against me. But you know, right now we have a Calgary Stampede, and that's where we have a rodeo and all that stuff going on. So that's what's happening. A lot of drunk people.
Do you have a cowboy hat?
My head, you know, even when I was a kid, the cowboy hat wouldn't fit the head. I think God was had me for it, made me for another purpose.
Yeah, you know, I told Ryan this, that I actually know quite a bit of people in that area, so I'm very familiar now with Calgary, Alberta. So you know, one day I'm gonna have to get down there. But so one question that we asked Ricardo that we're gonna ask you now, then we'll get to the topic. Is that you know, now you went to high school in Alberta? Okay, so when you were in high school, did you have an idea what you wanted to do beyond high school? Or were you like one of those kind of kids that were searching for what you wanted to do?
I didn't really know. I probably left high school kind of having a purpose, an idea of what I wanted to do, but I really didn't, you know, I didn't think I was going to amount to anything, to be honest with you. I wanted to be a music producer. You know, I knew that I wanted something in music, but I didn't have an idea of what I was going to be.
You know, it's funny. I had no idea until recently that you actually rapped.
Yeah.
And, somehow that escaped me. And the brother's pretty nice too. I was like, oh, go ahead, because you know, a lot of times people will be like, oh, you know, I rap, and then you hear their stuff, and you're like, you know.
You should rap packages. That's what you say.
Like, you know, brother's pretty good. You know, he's pretty nice with it. So, how long have you been rapping, man?
For just as long as I was designing, so like maybe 17 years.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Old school.
Old school, yeah. But that's what people know me here. That they know me for what I've done for the community. And I got an award. Actually, it's called the Calgary Stampede Western Legacy Award. And this, okay, again, I was telling you that it's hick town. Black people are not honored in anything in this city. But I was the first black male, first black youth, and first recipient of the award. One of the first, because it was the first annual, to get award for having Western values and going. Because what I used to do is used to take rap music. And I used to go into schools and teach people about gang violence and stuff, because at the time I was a troubled youth. And so I turned my life around and I went into the schools and I was, you know, was rapping and just giving them positive hip hop. I wasn't always positive, but, you know, my mentors kind of convinced me to be positive.
Ryan?
Yeah. I'm gonna take a picture and I'm going to send it to you.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Little Ryan.
Hey, Little Ryan. Little Ryan. My rap name is called B Nelson, and a lot of people don't know. Like, B Nelson means because my mentor from Chicago, he's like, I'm gonna call you Babyface Nelson because you got such a baby face, but nobody knows that you crooked. So so I. You know, but that was when I was younger, right?
B Nelson, you gotta update your whole blab and everything.
B Nelson. So I changed my name to B Nelson because I didn't want people to kind of know all that stuff, because I was in transition, right? And I have a video. I can send you the video of me talking about, like, because it was a big issue. Like, I was the poster boy for that change, because there were a lot of youth in my area that were just going to jail. They were shooting people and stuff like that. And people I knew, you know, my best friend went to jail for chopping some guy in the back with a machete. You know, and these are people that I was associated with. So you know, it was a big thing. The police told my mentor, they gave him an award because he was at my mentor does like police training and stuff, and they were like, you know, Gary, you did so much good in that community. You know, that one student you had, we never thought that he would change. We never thought that he would have any impact. And they were talking about me because they knew me. They knew I was smart enough that I could have went, if I didn't have any guidance, I could have went deeper. And I wasn't even bad. That was the thing, is that I was heading that direction. You know, because when you ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I was like, man, I want to be like Tupac. You know, I wanted to be a drug dealer. I wanted to be rich. That was my own mentality at the time.
You know what? You be talking to people sometimes, and you know you don't know they was about that life. Wow, man, that's definitely
piss Ryan off, everybody.
I know, man. How you doing, Mr. Perez?
Yeah,
Mr. Nelson. That's what he knows.
Wow, man, that's something else, man. But I'm glad you made the change, and I'm glad that you are here with us. And we do have a question before we get to the topic. It's from Rashim. She wants to know, Ryan, for myself, I tend to have communities where I engage on a surface level, and some of them, let's see, I lost my place. Some of them where my engagement goes to on a deeper level. Oh, this is like basically the same question. So what communities are you committed to, and how do you empower them?
Well, I've witnessed Ryan tell people to put respect. Yeah, we've been in those situations.
Oh God.
Come on, Zach, you. Anyway, this is a really bad introduction, but you see what happened was, but exposed. But here's an article. It's called "Calgary Mentor Targets Youth Anger with Music and Martial Arts." So pretty much the program that changed my life is a program that I'm still in, and it's called the Ishin Institute. And what we do is we go into women's shelters, we go to schools. I do a lot of mentoring, but I don't bring that online. I don't bring that with me. I don't promote it. I see there's a lot of coaches, everybody putting their faces on their movement. Our movement is silent and effective because it's really about we really want to make it about the youth. And it's so funny that we don't even get much funding for the stuff that we do, yet we have changed so many people's lives. But we use martial arts because when you're trying to deal with youth that are in gangs and stuff like that, the first thing that you need to understand, you got to target their anger. Mm-hmm. And the anger, you can look at it as anger, but I call it energy. And when your mom is not at home, you know, like my mom was a single mother with 3 children. You know, when your mom's not at home, you don't really have that expression. And I used to get stopped. I used to put on my hoodie and I'd be walking to maybe my girlfriend's house or whatever, and I would get stopped by the cops. So I would have all these things happening to me all at the same time. And then, you know, the teachers don't respect you when you go to school, and all this pent up anger. And my mentor would ask me all the time, he's like, brother, why are you angry? I don't know. You know, like, I don't know why I was angry. But when he came to me, he said, you know what? I used to do music with Michael Jackson, all that stuff. He kind of wooed me in that sense. Like, he just said, hey, let me teach you how to do music. Let me get you into music. And I was like, Michael Jackson? Sure. Like, I'm going to learn. And he's like, you know, he taught me karate. So he got me into martial arts. And that was the way that I was able to express myself. So even now when I'm angry or if I'm sad or depressed, I use that same philosophy and I put it in my music. I get it all out so I can be balanced. So the Ishin Institute is still around, and we're pretty active in Calgary. Without being long-winded, I'm so sorry, but we have we're the reasons why there's more multicultural cops in the police force. I physically sat down and talked with the police and told them what was going on in the community. I was a police advocate, I was a youth advocate for the Calgary police. And to that reason, that's why if you go onto a train, that you not only see a police that is white, but you see a police that is black, because the police were targeting people in our communities at the train stations where I used to hang out with, and they would target us for no reason. So we got them to diversify their force. We also did an undercover sting. I was a part of getting all the people together, and we went into the nightclubs and we blast their ass for not letting blacks in the clubs, right? And we went into schools. Anytime there was any injustice in the schools, we went in and we turned things around. So again, these are things that I don't like. If you go on my LinkedIn, you'll see all of that information there. But this is stuff I don't just talk about because it's not a glorified project. Because these youth count on you, you know, they count on you to be leaders in your community, and they need to trust you. And they can't feel like, you know, when you're dealing with certain people that want to change the youth, they make it so, you know, they make it like so glorious. And then the youth are like, man, you're not really here to help me. They feel that energy. So, you know, we're humble about what we do, you know, and either way. I don't know if that answers your question, Rashid.
I thank you for that. I really want to go into what you were speaking about, because there's some people that nowadays they don't even know their neighbors, right? Let alone, you know, people up and down the block. So even within a community where you live, you know, not just outside beyond the areas and the community centers and the different places like that and the youth, but how do you just go out and actually meet your neighbors, the people that live around you, and get to know them, you know, since this seems like it's such a hard process for people nowadays?
Can I say something? Like what we did in the last, like, this is the first year I haven't volunteered, because I've been volunteering for myself, trying to get my business going and stuff, and putting too much energy in all these other projects. But for the last, we were the first people in Calgary to create what we call the Obsidian Awards. And the Obsidian Awards is now going on its third year. The first 2 years that we did it, we spent like over $200,000 honoring blacks, not just blacks, but African and Caribbean, and bridging those cultures together. You know, I put the production on, all that stuff, like with two other brothers in the city. And that's how we brought people together, because for the first time, it was an event that wasn't at a community center. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because you go to black events, you go to black things, and like, I don't know, in Calgary anyways, it's like at a community center, there's no budget, the flyer's ugly. We really put time and made sure that when you came there that you felt like a star. If I could show you guys the picture of the red carpet, you know, and how beautiful it was, how aesthetically pleasing. We got Oprah's we got Oprah's set designer to come in and design that place. We made black people feel good about their accomplishments. We spent time and made sure that we designed nice awards. And that's how we gathered people in the community. And then that's why then people afterwards like, hey, Ryan, why don't you help us do this? Like, hey, Ryan, and hey, you know, Kobe, hey, Benny, why don't you guys do this and do this and do this? Because we really cared about putting our efforts, because it seems like some of these community initiatives don't want to put any money. They just will do what they can. They'll ask for handouts, but they don't want to put their own sweat equity. And, you know, we really had to do, like, that was one example, but I mean, there's many ways of going about that, but that would be a recent thing that I've done.
Now, most of us on Blab, I mean, I can probably say all of us, we are social media people. We go on Twitter, we go on Blab, we go on all of these different platforms, and we do a lot of different things. And one thing that you know is taken over in the last so many years is you start to see a lot of. Wait, did you guys lose Kiana as well?
No, she's right there.
Yeah.
Well, then it's me. Let me refresh.
Well, Ricardo, you can answer the question I just asked, you know, as far as our neighbors. How do you feel to actually be able to connect.
Say hello, smile.
Sorry about that.
I mean, we see each other, you know, when we're traveling, we see each other going in and out of buildings or neighbors. Don't just sit there and stare at them. Like, if people can see you looking at them. Most people, when you give them a wave, they kind of like snap out of stuff. Just say hello, how are you? And like, just start asking. I like to say, like, me as somebody who has been like painfully shy. Like, I never even spoke to a girl before I was like 18 years old. Like, I was just that quiet, that shy of a person. Like, literally, I don't speak to a girl till I was 18. And how I started to break that was just over the years learning to ask a second level question, and then after that, it's all good. So I'd say, hey, Kiana, how are you doing?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm wonderful. So what brings you to Blab? Why are you here?
Well, I heard that it was such a great community. You can really meet some great people. So I decided to come check it out.
Oh, and what do you do for a living again?
I'm actually, should I say, I'm actually the educator. Can I start there?
Make it up.
Yeah, I'm an educator. I actually teach professional development here in Charlotte.
Really?
What is it that you do?
I make businesses better, but really interested to find out, why are you teaching and not working in something else like banking? Like, what made you become a teacher?
Oh, that's an interesting. Well, first of all, I love to educate. I do. I enjoy helping people and really watching that transformation from when they don't know to when they're enlightened.
Right.
I love that transformation.
I could totally see that. Are you teaching like kids, university?
I can't do kids. I tried.
You look like someone who's like, I could see you with the kids. And you're like, hell no, that's not.
No. I used to work at a high school, and then I transitioned to a tech school. So I teach adults.
Okay, because I wouldn't picture you as somebody who would teach adults at all.
Really?
That's really just funny. That might.
Yeah, I see you as with kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little too straightforward. I am.
Too honest for the kids.
I am. They're not ready. They're not ready.
She couldn't teach at a high school. They would think that she was one of the students.
That's exactly how I would meet people. I would just ask them questions. And the trick is, you ask somebody something and you go to a second level question. Like, I'd say, where do you live, and blah, 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 blah. And then ask people, why do you do that? Because most people don't get asked that second question. And that just opens up the world to anybody, anywhere, anytime. It always works. You find out something about somebody and then ask a second level about, why are you doing that? When was the last time you did that? How come that versus something else? And it's just like, you're off. And then, because people feel very flattered when you want to know about them.
It's true.
And everybody has a story. So in 10 seconds, I'm finding out all types of stuff about you that I can connect with. I'm like, you're teaching adults. I'm like, I don't like to teach kids. Like, there's like 19 different things we could talk about just from that, because I asked 2 or 3 questions that went beyond, hi, how are you doing? Where do you live? What do you do? Like, ask them, why do you live there? Who do you know that? Like, just that one extra thing will explode a world to connect with anybody. It's like a little trick I learned years ago to just, that's how you get in there fast.
He said, 18, ready to go. I'm ready to now.
But it's a very organic, authentic way to really engage with people, because humans are humans. And once you get to that level with people, you're going to find something in common. I mean, I've been up north in Canada, like Canada's north. I'm not going up north. When Canadians say it's up north, it's north. And this little community of, uber white, like the founding fathers were there and have their cottages and like that type of, these little islands, and everybody has their own island and they're camping. And this is like, they trace their lineage to this country going back like 10, 12 generations, like founding fathers with it. We got up there and we're in a little boat going from one island to the next, having a barbecue, and I'd go over and I walk in the party and I'm like, I am the only black person for like 100 miles. And I ended up hanging out there, walked in, hey, how you doing? Where's the beer? Pop one open, chatting with people, and use that very same technique in that instance. And before I left, people giving me like high fives. Oh, Ricardo, when you coming back? And da-da-da-da-da. I mean, of course, there's still people over there staring at me like, who the fuck is this? And coming into my party. But I was able to like connect with 2 or 3 people at that point, to the point where they're inviting me back to their cottage next summer. I ain't going, but I appreciate the
No, I have a question. Okay, so like as I was saying a little bit earlier, that you know, all of us here, we're on Blab, we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, all of these different platforms, and we use them for a lot of different reasons, right? We use them to connect with people, we use them for business purposes, we use them to trade information. But what I want to ask you two guys, who are very experts in this field of social media as well, is how can we use that to empower our communities with information, with call to action, with also just education of what's at stake for different communities, whether we're dealing with the police situation, whether we're dealing with prison industrial complex, or whatever it might be, but empowering our specific Black community. How can we use these platforms to
I'm going to jump on this one first, Ryan, if that's okay with you. So I gave a talk about this a few months ago on how I actually use technology to engage in the Black community here in Canada, and created the largest network of Black Canadians committed to excellence across, like, in the history of Canada. There's over 20-something thousand people on our social media, and another 6,000 to 8,000 email addresses. We don't do parties, we don't do events, we don't promote anything. We just shine a light on Black excellence. It's very boring, it's very simple. To get 20,000 people to get in line for that took 6 years of work, but the technology played a critical piece in that, because one, the cost is zero. It is zero to scale. Like, it's the same price to do 20,000 people it is to do 2. So when I looked at every single type of event happening in the Black community in Toronto, it was flyers, and hey buddy, here's a flyer. Like, everybody's printing something, spending money to get a message out, or they would do something in a community center, in a church, or at an event, and everybody shows up for this thing. And when everybody leaves, you're like, how would we get together if we wanted to do this again? Nobody was looking at that. So I saw a real opportunity to create a platform and sort of circle the wagons in the Black community, and creating an opportunity for us to reconnect beyond just the physical events that we attend. So I started collecting email addresses since day one. MailChimp is free. Plug that into your website. Everybody who signs up on there, if you want more information like this, here you go. People keep signing, one at a time. Every day I get 2, 3, 5 people. But after 6 years, it's thousands. And now when I send an email, it's hitting hundreds and thousands of people exactly in their pocket, and they know what they're going to get from me. So I've built up credibility over the years by sharing quality. I'm not just like, yo, there's an event on. I'm like, people like every week come to me, hey, can you promote my event? I'm like, nope, we'll pay you. Nope. I'm like, the purity of this is so important to me that they know when they see that email from me, they should read it. It's never going to be, it's going to be something you're going to be upset if you miss that tomorrow. You're like, oh, no, this is Ricardo. I'm going to take that call, because of the consistency of doing that. So really using platforms like WordPress, MailChimp, Slack, Google Docs, using all of these things, using the little skill I had to make a website, to build something, have a place where people can meet online, things like Blab, using this to record interviews and then share them with my network, and really be consistent about that, having people volunteer and write articles and write profiles on people, so that we start to highlight and connect with our own community outside of the mainstream media and press. Because if they have a stranglehold on how to connect with Black people, they control the community. And we literally have to beg you to share information about us that's actually going to make a difference. And I don't ever have that problem. If I want to do anything, there was a big town hall yesterday discussing racism in Canada. And I sent out an email to 6,000 people. And I walked in the room and everybody's like, hey, Rico, got your message. Thanks for that. I didn't know about this. And like a bunch of people in that room that had good things to say and contribute that would not have known had I not sent that email. So I'm not relying on the government to do this. I'm not relying on mainstream media or a newspaper that's going to print something in 6 weeks. I'm like, all of us have that smartphone. So it's like, if we don't get into that smartphone and connect with each other, that's the 21st century. Young people all got smartphones. They all do.
So you know what? Before Ryan gets in there, Ryan was doing a plan just the other day about YouTube and about content. And one thing he said is very interesting that you were saying too is about the idea of quality control, like not just putting up anything, but like actually, so that when people see that you're posting something, it's something that's not going to waste their time. It's not something that doesn't have value, to make sure everything that you have has some sort of value that they can to chew on, basically.
It's a criteria that we use in Black in Canada, and it upsets some people. And I don't promote everything that's Black, even though I'm about supporting Black people. I don't promote things that help Black youth. I am like, adults and people are striving for excellence is the main criteria. People are like, hey, I want to help the youth and want to do this. I said, I love what you're doing, but that is not our focus. I'm like, a lot of people trying to help you. Nobody's trying to help people who are 40 years old who have a business. Nobody's trying to help that woman who has a job in corporate and she's dealing with racism. It's like, how do we get her head right so she can make more money and take care of her family? Who's trying to help those people? So I'm looking for people who are high achievers, like who's the ones getting straight A's. Talk to me about high achievers in school with young Black kids. Now I might be able to pull you in, but I'm not just helping at-risk youth. I'm like, a lot of people doing that already. I don't want to duplicate the wheel. I want to come over here and do something different. So my yardstick is really excellence, and primarily for adults.
I love it.
See?
I love it.
I get you.
See what I'm saying? Simple little question. Like, I can't take these kids, man. I got too much anger in me. I'll be like, listen, motherfucker, you got a $300 shoe and a $1,000 phone telling me your life is hard. I'm like I live next to crackhead. You trying to tell I was like, I can't hear. I just can't hear it from them. I will lose my shit. I'm like, you have Wi-Fi in your pocket. I'm like, dude, I printed flyers and walked around and handed them out. He's like, well, I'm out.
But yeah.
Yes, Ryan.
So you want me to jump in? Oh, okay. Sorry. But yeah, no. The best thing that I would, because Calgary, me mentioning Calgary is very important because we are behind the times in terms of race relations. So a lot of things that have been happening in Toronto, and Ricardo can contest to this because Calgary does have a reputation of being backwards in terms of just being integrated and whatnot. So I'm starting to see a lot of movements happen now. One of the recent movements that I was a part of, not like I was the artist, but I was still helping promote the movement. It's called 10 at 10. And 10 at 10 was started by a man named Benny Johnson. And what he did was it was kind of like, it was just a typical story. If you guys follow hip hop and how some of these underground hip hop scenes, how they become the norm and how they birth so many great artists. 10 to 10 is the same thing. And because I see my dad used to be a promoter. So I grew up around hip hop ever since I was a kid. He was bumping like Run DMC when I was in the crib. And then he was young. He was a young dad. And he brought Ice-T. He brought Will Smith. I met Will Smith and all these rappers when I was young. And he brought the Source magazine to Calgary, to Alberta for the first time to bring Source magazine. So I watched my dad fail so many times. I watched his friend fail so many times, trying to start a movement to make money. You know, because they were like the only people. Because I remember my dad had the first hip hop store in Calgary, and this was at the time in 1990 where they were like, this is when people were like hip hop was conscious, and I would see like, you know, like peace sign necklaces and all this stuff, and then you got the leather hat with the red, green, gold on the hat and stuff. So I saw this, but they always, like every business venture my dad tried, they failed, and we kind of took, not that I love my dad and I love the fact that he pioneered a lot of those things, and he really made me better by me witnessing what he was trying to do for his community. But the thing that they failed in is about building the community first rather than thinking about the dollar signs. It's like, oh snap, we got a good, you know, like we got a after hours going on right now and it's popping. So they just pour all their money into it, and then it falls apart. What 10 to 10 movement did, it did the opposite. Instead of focusing on the money, it just made the event for free. It allowed artists to come in and express themselves, because a lot of people had music. And I was one of those early artists that I brought dancers, I brought a whole concept, and we shut it down. And after my performance, you noticed that people stepped up their game. They're like, man, that Ryan Perez had a good show. I'm going to show them. So you got people bringing in dancers and all sorts of things. And this was just 3 or 4 years ago. And now it's a big movement where it spawned so many different hip hop initiatives and festivals just based off the things that we did, that we sacrificed ourselves. Yeah, I could have got paid for that show, but I did it for the community. And I think that we have to take, like, just because you can see an opportunity to corral people to one place, you should be first put in your sweat equity into it and be consistent with it as well. Just like what Ricardo said, consistency is so important in these sort of movements, because people rely on you. They rely on you to bring things at a certain time, in a certain flavor. If you go and just mix it up because you're just power hungry, it's not going to work out for you. Your graphics, like, oh my God, marketing. Even though you're doing a social movement, it's still marketing. You need to do your market research. Black people are so diverse. And Pepper Miller in a Dr. Vibe show was a very good example of describing how diverse our communities are. So if you're targeting a specific community, make sure you do the research first before you start throwing out marketing materials. Make sure that if you're not ready to put out good content, don't put it out. Don't put half-assed materials out. Don't bring people to a show that was half-assed put together, right? Because people, the first impression is so important for them. It's better for you to start off small. I was teaching my son this. We're playing Minecraft. And I said, Malcolm, do you want to build? He wants to build a big mansion. But what I said, you know what? Start with a small house first. And I taught him dimensions, was teaching him math. Start with small rooms and build. Because where are you going to sleep? If you're trying to build a big mansion, where are you going to sleep? There's nothing to cover you, right? So if you build units, over time, you're going to amass this big mansion. You're going to have a lot of you'll have a lot of space. So it's the same thing with movements. You got to start small, but put in your sweat equity. Put in your time. You know, don't think about gaining money off the people. First, you got to build that community. You know, and you got to give people. You have to accept their feedback as well. Because marketing is all about the people you serve. And the last point I will say is that McDonald's is it's a prime example of this. They don't say, yo, man, we're loaded. I'm in a mansion. They don't say that. They don't say, oh, man, we made $100 billion. What do they say on the signs? 4 billion served. Because they understand the equity and the value in the people. Because that 4 billion probably created maybe 10 billion for them for that year, right? So we have to start thinking in that mindset that we need to serve the people. And I think that's the top of of Maslow's pyramid of needs. It's like self-actualization, understanding that you're here to just give yourself. And when you give all yourself to people, they give it back to you and then some, right? And I can show you this in an example. Last night, Ricardo and I were doing a blab, and I was drawing a girl that died. And it was a tragic story, but I did that out of the kindness of my heart. I could have worked, but I did that because I wanted to give something to the community. That very picture went viral today. You know, got over 100 shares from people I don't know, people adding me left, right, and center because I did that for the community. And if you want to engage people on social media, you have to share yourself. Don't hide behind a mask. Show them your kids. Show them your life. You know, give them a little bit of yourself. Stop trying to promote flyers and just like Ricardo was saying, like, stop trying to promote it's like going to a party and being like, hey, what's up? Here's my mixtape. Nobody wants to talk to that brother with the mixtape. We want to have actual conversations.
It's you know, Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this in social media. He said you should jab, 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 right hook. And that's a book he wrote. He's talking about the principles of social media are really to give, ask. And most people show up and be like, hey, can I promote my blab on your blab? I'm like, how about you join my blab and add some value and get to know me before I start from sending my audience that I so carefully crafted and sent them over to, what's your name again? Like, give. Show up in the community a few times, like engage, do stuff. Like, that's the sweat equity that we're talking about. And a lot of people today just want to go and they hear about something going viral. But Ryan, let me ask you a quick question. How many of those have you done that didn't go viral? Thank you. He's doing them every single day. And then at some point, one goes viral. So nobody's asking how many he did prior to this one going viral. But every day, Ryan turns on his computer and he's doing a design and he's drawing someone and he's drawing and he's drawing. So when the opportunity is there, it's very normal and natural for him to actually do this. The same thing applied to Oreo during the Super Bowl, where the lights went out or something and they tweeted, hey, at least you could dunk your Oreos in the dark. And it was a tweet that went viral. Now, here's the little bit that nobody remembers. Oreo was spending millions of dollars doing social media every single day for a full year prior to that point, and nothing went viral until that Super Bowl. But guess what? They were flexing their social media muscle and they knew how to engage with their audience. They were listening to people. So by the time it was appropriate, it was the most natural thing to just go, yeah, at least you can still dunk your Oreos, send, and all of a sudden it's a viral tweet. Everybody else is like, well, what do we do when the lights go out? Because they're showing up without any practice. They're showing up to the game and never been on the field before and expecting to win the Super Bowl. Oreo was practicing for a year steady. No ROI, none of that stuff, until one day that tweet goes viral and all that money you spent got paid back tenfold because of exposure. Like, what would that cost to buy that much airtime during the Super Bowl? So it's about that muscle memory and engaging with community and engaging with people long before you need to ask them for something. I was giving profiles every single day, doing stuff. Like, people tried to sue me. Like, it went on and on and on. And I'm like, I'm just not stopping this. People were like, I had business partners. It didn't work out. Had to fire them. Had 30 volunteers. Got rid of them. This, like, on and on and on. People came, people went. I would not stop. And 6 years later is when everybody's like, yo, that's a pretty cool idea. How'd you do that? I didn't stop for 6 years every day. That's a short answer. You know, 2,000 days of consistent work before you can recognize me going, it's kind of cool. 2,000 days.
Now, one question I often like to ask our guests, and since we have two wonderful guests today, I'm gonna ask both of you guys is legacy. To me, legacy is important. To me, that's almost what you live for. You know, is what they're gonna say about you afterwards when it's all said and done. So let me ask, you know, either one of you can jump in first. What is it that you want your legacy to be when it's all over? What do you want people to be able to say about you and your time here on Earth?
Well, you want to go, Ricardo? Okay.
I'll go first. Thank you. I live my life backwards from that very perspective of legacy. In 2002, my best friend died of cancer, and he was about early 30s. He had a 6-year-old son, and I would go to visit him in the hospital, and he was getting chemo, and I mean, we would talk, and I'm like, "How's things going with the cancer? What do you need?" Like, I'm talking to him, and he's like, "Ricardo, you're the only person that talks to me." He's like, everybody else just backed away. And I was in the hospital one day. We were talking shit like we normally talk. Like, this is my boy. I'm like, I still call him my best friend. You know what I mean? I'm like, when I go to heaven or wherever he is, first thing I'm gonna do is punch him in the arm and be like, look, never fucking go and die on people again. Like, that shit ain't cool. And I said to him, what's your biggest regret knowing that you're going to die? Because I didn't want to play the game of like, oh, buddy, you're gonna fight this. I'm like, you lost 100 pounds. You used to be 230 and he got smaller than me. And he still looked normal because he was such a big guy before. And I said, dude, this is not going well. I want to know your biggest regret because this may be it. And he said, not finishing my jazz album so my son can hear me play music. He goes, it's the one thing I love to do in this world. And he said, my son will never hear me play. And right now I'm thinking of like, what do I tell my son for the rest of his life? What lessons do I want to teach him? And I would love to be able to hand him an album and say, when you want to know where to go in life, I want you to play this and daddy will talk to you. And that sat with me like a ton of bricks, that I knew without a doubt I was going to die, like he was dying. And then it's done. There's other people doing stuff. Like, life will go on. We'll throw dirt in your face and we will move on. And that lit a fire in my life like nothing else. I was at the time working in technology, a company, WorldCom at the time, doing corporate sales. It's making over 6 figures in like 1990, 2001, 2002. Like, I was making good money. And I resigned from that job to go be an artist. And it freaked everybody in my life. Like my mom, you don't quit a 6-figure job to go and paint. That's just not a narrative in the Black community that goes over well. You know, my mom was like, "You doing what, Donnie?" No, Doc. You need some help. So when I said no, I said, you have to understand something. I'm gonna die. And when I die, paying all my bills on time and doing all this stuff, Visa and MasterCard never attended a funeral, you know. So they just don't come. They got their money. It's a thing for them. And I'm like, I know I'm going to die. And if I die and the only thing you have is my art and my contribution, and people say, you know, that Ricardo guy, we don't know what he did, but you know what? He's got art up on the walls. That's some of his work. He's got art like in his house. Like, those are some of his paintings. And it's like, Ricardo was committed to things and he made them happen. And he changed the world in whatever way that he could with what he had. I said, I'd rather you say that than to say Ricardo had a lot of money. I said, if I die on the street, I said, that's how I want to end my story. And from that perspective, I started living my life backwards to align with that. And every choice I made, whether it is clients, whether it is relationships, whether it's friendships, where I live, what I do, everything uses that as a litmus test. It's like, if I drop dead tomorrow, is this something I want to be doing? like at some point, we're all gonna, like, people say this, I'm gonna get out of life when I die. No, dude, not if you die. You're going to die. Everybody listening to this right now will die. Nobody has beaten life yet. Life is undefeated. Undefeated. We are going to die. And the question is, we don't know when, but they will say stuff about you when you're dead, and it's not going to be tomorrow or someday. It's like, was Ricardo on Blabs trying to make a difference every time he got on? Or was he on here just like, this bullshit, I could see that better? Like, how are you living your life moment to moment to moment to moment? And I take it serious. I got my wake-up call. So I just like, I live my life knowing that if this was it today, did I tell my wife I love her? Did I kiss my baby? Did I make a difference in somebody's life today? Did I pick up my phone and deal with my client? Did I handle my business, handle my money? Like, am I handling the things that if I die, like I think about this. My wife and kid just went up north and they're hanging out for 2-3 days. And I'm like, what if I die before they get back? Not in a morbid sense, but I'm like, did I do everything today to make sure my family's taken care of? Did I pay my life insurance? Did I answer that client and make sure they send me money tonight so that they can have, like, that's how I govern myself. Like, if this was it, I go outside and something happened, you know, oh, look, money came in, the insurance is paid, you all got taken care of for the rest of your life. Like, that stuff got handled. So Ricardo lived his life in a way that made a difference, not only for himself and what he was committed to, but for other people, his community, his children, and their future. Because, you know, all I need is a garbage bag, and I got everything I could care about could fit in that. And once I have more than that, everything is a bonus to me. Everything is a bonus. I mean, I lived on an onion for 2 weeks. Literally, an onion. One onion. Like, that's all I had to eat. And me and my best friend, that same guy, Victor, we were in this house. We had one onion. We'd slice that bad boy, and we'd put it in a frying pan. We didn't even have oil. We just put that onion in a raw pan, and we would take that onion off very carefully. We say, today you get the outside piece, inside Ricardo. Outside Victor, inside Ricardo. And tomorrow, I start with the outside. And we went back and forth for 2 weeks. Cut an onion into 14 slices for me. It's thin. That's all we had to live on. And one day we looked at each other. We said, you know what? One day this is going to be funny, but it's not funny now. And we just started like laughing, and like it was like one of the best jokes we ever had. But if I have more than an onion and I have my health, you cannot beat me.
Wow, an onion. Please, man.
You can't beat me.
An onion. Yeah, that's something else.
You can't beat me. I'm like, I'm going to be number one in technical drawing. I'm like, I'm going to be like, you can't beat me. I'm sorry. I govern myself this way too. Like, how do you beat an 800-pound gorilla in a wrestling match? It's real simple. Just don't give up. I don't care how bad you're being beat. I don't care how bad you're down. I don't care if he's on top of you, he's punching. You're like, have you had enough? That's the only thing I would say. I'm like, because I am not quitting. And if you don't quit and you have your health, dude, there ain't nothing you can't do. We live in the best country with all of this racism and police and killings and all this stuff. There is no other place I'd rather live in the world because of opportunity to make stuff happen. We could sit here on Blab. Pick another country in the world any of us would like to be transported to right now to live our life. It doesn't exist. This is it. And we're at the top of that. And if we're sitting at the top of that and we're complaining about we can't do this and we can't do that and we can't make a difference, I said, what do you think somebody in Angola is saying to us right now? What do you think about somebody in Bangladesh who's living on top of a trash heap is saying to us? They're looking at us going, dude, you got to make it for me. Because we're the people that when we make it and do things, we're going to go to those places and make a difference and start trade with Angola and change millions of people's lives. It is incumbent on us to hustle our asses and get shit done. And I know it's hard. But you know what's also very hard? Walking from Atlanta to Canada to free slaves. And then walking back and doing it like 30, 40 times. Like if you fly to Atlanta from here, it's 8 hours in a plane. Like imagine walking. And then people trying to kill you. And then when you get out, you know what you do? You walk your ass back. And then you do that again and again. That's hard. I'm like, my life ain't hard.
Amen.
It's inconvenient and it may be uncomfortable, but that shit, it is. And no. Dude, I got more than an onion in the fridge. I'm eating cherries on a Friday night. Like, you can't beat me.
He's like, no more onion for me.
I digress. But I this is just my real life. This is how it actually unfolded, you know? I get a little passionate.
That is awesome, man.
That's amazing.
Wow.
That's amazing.
For myself, I ran because I brought my journal that I wrote in 2001, February. And during that time, my sister had cancer. She had Hodgkin's disease. And what I did, because I was a knucklehead, I went and painted. I was downstairs in the basement, and I painted the whole room white, like everything, because there was bricks and everything. I painted everything white. And my sister had cancer, meaning like if she inhaled any of those fumes, she was going through chemotherapy, she would have gotten sick. And when my mom came home, she kicked me out of the house. I was homeless for 2 weeks. And I used to sneak back into the house. I wouldn't go to school. And even all up to now, I don't have my high school education. I got up to grade 11. I finished, went back and I finished grade 12, but I don't have a diploma. And at that time, I was hanging out with my friends. I was smoking a lot of weed, and then I would break into the house so I can have, sometimes, if she didn't catch me, so I can have a place to stay. And I would go, when I didn't have a place to stay, I would go, there's this place in Calgary called Crescent Hill. And it's a big hill that, and it's funny, if I'm dating someone, if I really like them, I'll take them to that hill. Because there's like a lot of steps. A lot of hill.
Effort to get to that hill.
But you see the beautiful city. And I used to sit there and I said to myself, I'm going to be somebody someday. Not knowing who... Not knowing who I've become without an education. I said to myself that I was going to be somebody. I'm not going to let anybody tell me that I can't, because my teachers, the students, or everybody used to laugh at me. The teachers used to dump my desk. I was abused by my first teacher. She put me up against the wall. I was dyslexic, and no one understood who I was. And she was a black teacher. Just put me up into the, on the wall, and all through my elementary schooling, they would dump my desk. And then when I see people now from my elementary, they'd be like, "Man, Ryan, you were so messy. You were so this. You were so that." And in my head, I would come home. I'm like, one of these days I'm going to be somebody. One of these days I'm going to be somebody. You know what I mean? Like, how that's haunting, right? And I have a backstory. It's a long story, but I won't get there. But I used to come home, or to my mom's house when she wasn't around. I broke in, and I wrote this book. And in that book, I said, one of these days, I put sight, I put smell, I put physical, feel, I put all the senses, and I imagined what my life would be like. And I said, one of these days I'm gonna wear a suit. Because at the time I was wearing bandanas and baggy pants and jeans and stuff like that. I said, one of these days I'm gonna be on a table, sipping wine, conversing with people. Because at that time, I did not believe that I could live that life. That was, to me, that was a crazy dream, to even think that I could make money and I could have a family. I thought I was gonna be alone. I was smoking so much weed that I was so depressed that I thought people were out to get me. And do you guys mind if I can spit for you? Like, I'll tell you, I'm going to spit a song called I Move Along. This is what I was going through during that time. Yo, It's suicide that kept me living off the edge, afraid to go out because of fear of my bloodshed. I was a victim of my own perception, like an optical illusion. What appears so may not be the truth. And what you got to do is break the devil in you. And it's the devil in me that makes you fear the power. What you can't touch, you can't see, you can't control, but you gotta believe. Nature doesn't deviate from its own course. What decision you make, brother, it's your own choice. It's a win-win situation. It allows you to learn from all the problems we be facing. Thinking about all decisions that we make. 70% are wrong anyways. Some things seem hard to cope, but it's mind over material things. You gotta prepare what the Father brings. I move along. So that lyric said it's suicide that kept me living, because I was literally going to kill myself. And at that time, I was a young offender. I robbed somebody with my friend, and I was in the court systems. And what saved my life was all of these people in the community. My dad forced me, he forced me to go to this black community called the KUFA, African Caribbean United Foundation of Alberta. And he made me sit there, and my hat is down low like this, and I'm like this, like I didn't want to be there. And then they asked me, they're like, Ryan, so what do you think is the problem? I'm like, what do they want to ask me? So I started to tell them what my problem was. And they all rallied behind me. And what they did is that when I had my court cases, they all came. Because when you're a youth and your parents and your community don't come to you in the court systems, they don't. The judge does not mess with you. Okay? So when we're talking black on black violence, or not black on black violence, we're talking about gunning and police. I was that guy that could have been shot, from the police, because the people I was hanging out with were real thugs. And the police were ready to crack down on those thugs. And a lot of them went to jail. You know what I mean? And a lot of them missed out, but a lot of them went to jail. They cleaned that up. But when I had the community behind me, they saved my life. So I made it my legacy that until the day I die, that I would give back other youth's lives, because the community gave me back life. And they said to me, Ryan, you're destined for greatness. What did that mean? Doesn't matter. I ate it up. I was like, I'm great. I'm great. I'm great. I'm great until I became great. I managed $1 million companies. I did all this stuff without an education. Worked for Xerox. You need a bachelor's degree to work there. I didn't have none. I got in because of persistence. I read every book. At the time when I left high school, I couldn't read. I taught myself how to read. I couldn't talk. I learned grammar on the internet. I spent 5 years alone learning how to do graphic design. That's why I'm so quick at it, because I just hustled. And I stumbled across the way. I mean, I'm starting to live my life now in my 30s when I should have been living it when I was in my 20s. I'm living a 20-year-old life in my 30s because I'm actually catching my ass. But I went through a whole lot of shit to get here. Excuse my language. And my purpose is to make sure that the youth of the world and people of the world, that I can give them. So even up to today, my company, every time we sell a website, we donate a free website to people with disabilities. I'm always in the community. I'm always giving back, because if it wasn't for my mentors, I would not be here. And I also made sure that my son, if I had any children, that they would never, ever, ever see the penitentiary. Made it my duty, because, my son, I named him Malcolm. I made him Malcolm because after my idol, Malcolm X, because Malcolm went through the same thing I went through. Educated his mind about Black history. I re-educated myself. And I had an album called The Living Dead. I woke myself up from the dead. The community brought me out of the dead. And I made sure that my son, he was reading when he was 2. Doing math when he was 3. When you speak with him, he is so intelligent. but it's because I got into the frequency of his learning, and I got deep, and I made sure that he had a foundation for him to grow. So that is also part of that legacy, is ensuring that the day I die, that Malcolm, at least if anything, if he didn't get to see me again, that he just needs to leave. I told him, if you don't see me again, all you need to do is look at your name. Research your name. Your legacy is all written there. Learn it. You know, so every day I remind him, what's your name mean? Malcolm X. Because one of these days, if something happens to me, he will continue on that legacy. You know, so that like, hopefully that answers your question. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like.
No, man.
When you asked this question, I was like, I didn't think it was gonna happen, but you know, it's just.
Wow,
it's insane.
You know what? For those who may not know, that initially we had another show planned for tonight, which, you know, me and Kiana was very excited about, and so that one we had to reschedule, and we were, you know, I was trying to figure out something we could do because we were off last week, and I was literally searching for a guest. And I went in a blab, and Ricardo and Ryan was in a blab, and I thought about it. I was like, they don't know this part. I said, Ricardo and Ryan, what are y'all doing in 2 hours? And they were like, nothing. And I was like, well, could y'all be on my show tonight? And then Ricardo was like, what's the topic? And I'm like, I don't know. He's going to make something up, right? This topic. So then I went to Kiana, and Kiana had the topic. So I was like, yeah, this is the topic, right? But really, it was just an excuse. You know, and but you know what? Sometimes those make the best shows. And, you know, I like both of you guys, both Ricardo and Ryan. And we always wanted to have you guys on. But, you know, we kind of wanted to plan it and do it all the proper way. But, you know, sometimes this makes the best because, you know, I've always respected you two guys, the way you guys carry yourselves in this platform, and you guys seem like cool cats. But obviously getting to know you even more in this show that we did tonight, you know, I have even more respect for both of you guys. And, you know, thank you so much for giving us such a great treat tonight with this, you know, sharing so much of your lives. I'm a naturally inquisitive person, so I like to ask questions anyway of people. People know me will say that. So I use this show really as an excuse to be nosy. So thank you. Thank you for indulging me and Kiana. Kiana's nosy too. So
we know Kiana's nosy. It's so.
But thank you guys so much. You know, I think we've learned a lot from hearing both of you guys' stories, and you know, I think that you can. It shows like it doesn't matter where you start at, right? You know, it all matters where you end, right? And you guys, you know, from eating the onion, from getting in trouble, you know, from moving, you know, 100 places and whatnot, you guys really show that with hard work, dedication, passion, you guys are nice. You guys are good people. You guys seem to be good people. I mean, I don't think you guys are.
Don't let it fool you.
Low key serial killers.
Some of us are gangster. This is good.
I'll
put some respect on my name. Yes, that's good.
But
on my name.
But no, you guys are really good cats. You can feel it, you know, when talking to you guys. And you know, like I said, thank you so much. Like I said, this show was just an excuse to talk. And you know, we had real gold here tonight. So, and we definitely have to do this once again. And we'll stick to the topic next time, whatever topic we'll come up with. But I think this is amazing. Great conversation and a great way to spend a Friday night. And I'm going to start off with you, Ricardo. Now, how can people get you in social media? And tell us once again about your business, and you have a website or something?
I have a couple things going on. You can catch me on
My favorite platform these days would be Twitter and Instagram, at Ricardo McCray, on everything. Type that into Google. I come right up. My company that I have partnered with my wife is called Wedge 15. And we make businesses better. We work with not-for-profits and organizations and really transform them into use the skills that they have within that organization to start selling things to corporations, so not-for-profits are able to be self-sustaining. And my passion project that I love is called Black in Canada, and that's about profiling Black excellence in all of its forms, all across the country, in both official languages. And you can find us on all social platforms on Black in Canada, everything from Snapchat to Facebook to Twitter, Instagram, and the same for Wedge 15, and the same for myself, Ricardo McCray. Oh, I didn't even hit enter there. My bad.
Ricardo McCray. All right. So, Ryan, how can people get you in social media, and also tell us about your business and website, and also if they wanted to hear some more of your music, how can they do so?
Well, see, what happened was, I can send you my old YouTube channel, like all my music videos and all that stuff are there. But I don't necessarily want to promote that aspect of things, just because I mean I'm 32, just don't feel the same anymore.
Wait a minute, Jay-Z is 60 and he's still around. I
know, but it's like I just don't feel the same anymore. Like, look at the kind of shirt I'm wearing right now. Like, I don't even. But but what I would love to promote is my company, Bowtie Creative. Three things that summarize us is that we built hands-free website. So we take all of the responsibility. We're an agency where you can pay your money, and we do everything for you without you having to lift your finger. The second thing that we do is we provide affordable options, because we understand, we value the entrepreneur, and we understand that sometimes when you have great ideas, you don't have seed capital or big investments to throw into $20,000 website. So we broke up the payments into monthly payments that you can pay to get going. So again, it's a community initiative to promote more entrepreneurialism in the community. The third thing that we do, and the last thing that we do, but it's the best thing, is our community focus. Is that we're community focused. We donate every website, not only to just entrepreneurs with disabilities, but any organization that is doing a good job within their community. If we like it, we will donate. Currently, I'm part of. They were my client, but now I'm starting to donate my services to an LGBTQ website called One Love All Equal. I am, Being Nice Matters. I don't know if you guys know Elise, but I've donated a lot of my sweat equity into that company as well. There's a guy named Michael Haynes on Blab. I've donated services to him. So I'm just I'll make my money because the clients that I get that come in, when they buy a website, I take that profit that I could be spending on a yacht or buying a car, and I put that back into helping people become better entrepreneurs. Because I believe, I'm not a liberal, I'm a libertarian, and don't hold that against me. But I do believe that we can solve the issues, but I personally don't believe that the government can solve everything. And I think that if we empower our communities to take on the problems themselves, they will make changes. So we want to give them the ability to get the first thing, which is the biggest thing out of the way, which is branding and website. If we can donate our time to that, then they can do what they need to do to help solve some of the issues within their community. So that is a big aspect of our company now. So yeah, you can find me at Bowtie Creative, and it's Bowtie Creative with a K, because the K part is creative.
And Ryan, you said you were 42 years old.
Yeah.
And you're saying you're too old to rap. Like, I'm 39, so what are you trying to say? I need to stop rapping?
Are you rapping? No, but I just don't feel this.
I'm like 47 years old.
Maybe I still want to rap. You know,
you see this hairline? I can't be rolling out. I gotta be wearing hats and stuff. Like, what's up? What's up? All right, you know, I don't want to be that guy in the club, like, still pushing my mixtape. I just can't do it.
I was just talking about before you came in how I was going to do this Blab hip hop concert and everything. Now I feel bad. Ryan said I'm too old to be doing that, so I guess I'm gonna just play bingo. I'll go to the bingo hall and hang out.
No. It's like when you get to a certain threshold, then you can start being more contemporary. So you can do the Kanye West thing, like, you know, have some more artistic stuff. But if you're talking about grinding on the street,
you are at any age.
I'm gonna start auto-tune singing then from now on. So I can stay in the game. But Kiana, tell us about how we can get you in social media, and tell us one more time about Happy Work Week and why you keep that smile on your face.
Oh boy. Well, across the board, everywhere, on all platforms, you can find me at Happy Work Week. Twitter, I'm a Twitter girl. Facebook, and as you know, surprise me, I have a work week challenge where I really help people really prepare for the work weeks, prepare their mindset, and that's what Happy Work Week is really about. Is really to help people alter their work week perspectives so that they can thrive in their life and their career. And that's what I focus on because there's so many unhappy people. Yes, on all platforms, Happy Work Week. And so that is it. You know, I'm not going to go into detail because you guys know I'm happy. If you want to get happy, come talk to me. Come talk to me. Okay. But yes, Master Jedi Kente, formerly known as Life Coach Kente, please tell us, how can we find you?
Well, you know, I got upgraded. I was a life coach, not a Master Jedi. I skipped the Jedi and went to Master Jedi during the show. So I just keep moving up the ladder of life, social climbing here. But you can get me at Kente F. And, of course, you can go to Indie Radio, indyradio.org, if you want to find out some more information about the different shows that we do. We will be back next week with, more, wonderful guests and great topics. And, the weekend is here. So you guys have a great, wonderful weekend. Stay safe. And, I will see you next time right here at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. Peace.